Hey there YouTube lovers, my name is BB8 and today we are going to review both Pokemon Stadium and Pokemon Stadium 2. I've been waiting a while to review Pokemon Stadium, but I thought, why not wait until Pokemon Stadium 2 is out? Because then I can review both of them in the same video. And I get that Mario Party 3 just recently dropped on Switch Online, but I am going to review each individual Mario Party game from the Nintendo 64 at a later date. But for now, we're just focusing on Pokemon Stadium and Pokemon Stadium 2. So, without further ado, let's get into it, shall we? For the gameplay, Pokemon Stadium's gameplay differs from traditional Pokemon RPGs. It lacks a storyline and world, focusing on battles in 4 cups, totaling to 80 matches. The Gym Leader Castle challenges players with Kanto Gym Leaders, and the Elite Four beating them unlocks a tough battle against Mewtwo, followed by a higher AI difficulty round. Stadium mode features Pika Cup, Petite Cup, Poke Cup, and Prime Cup, each with unique rules as players assemble teams of 6 from the rentals or Game Boy Pokemon, but only 3 can be used in each battle. Winning a cup earns a trophy. Meeting the conditions with imported Pokemon unlocks Surfing Pikachu and a Pokemon Yellow minigame. But that's in the original N64 version, but that's not possible on Switch because the transfer pack can't be used. Gym Leader Castle tasks players with defeating Kanto Gym Leaders, the Elite Four, and the Champion. First, they battle 3 Pokemon trainers in each gym. Like Stadium battles, players choose a team of 6, but only fight with 3 at a time. Victory against the Elite Four offers the chance to win one of 8 prize Pokemon, being Bulbasaur, Charmander, Squirtle, Hitmonlee, Hitmonchan, Eevee, Kabuto, or Ammonite, which in the original can be transferred to the Game Boy games using the transfer pack. The gameplay experience for Pokemon Stadium remains true to the original Game Boy titles, utilizing the C-pad to select moves. However, the absence of transfer capabilities in Nintendo Switch Online detracts from the original Stadium experience, leaving the GB Tower and the Pokemon Lab completely absent and dampening the nostalgia trip. For the modes and the features, since there's no story in Pokemon Stadium, I thought I'd use modes and features as like a filler. Pokemon Stadium offers core gameplay through Stadium and Gym Leader Castle, challenging you to become the ultimate Pokemon trainer. I've already explained what Stadium and Gym Leader Castle are, so we're gonna jump straight to what the rest of the game has to offer. The game spices things up with mini-games for light-hearted enjoyment between battles. I'm going to talk more about the mini-games in a bit, but sadly, the Game Boy Tower, which allowed you to play Game Boy games on the big screen, is inaccessible on the Nintendo Switch Online version due to the absence of the transfer pack, as Victory Palace proudly showcases your winning Pokemon team, celebrating your successes. On the other hand, Oak's Lab, a feature that interacted with the Game Boy titles, is also missing from the Switch Online version. The game caters to different playstyles, with free battle offering customizable rules for battles between 2 players, and Battle Now providing quick battles with predetermined teams for fast-paced action. And for Pokemon enthusiasts, the gallery lets you admire detailed 3D models and artwork. One of the original standout features was the transfer pack capability, allowing you to transfer Pokemon from Game Boy games like Red, Blue, and Yellow into Stadium. This enhanced the experience of the original game, letting you battle, save, research, and trade them within Oak's Lab. Unfortunately, these features are absent from the Nintendo Switch Online port, making the experience slashed in half. And I do think if they were to port Pokemon Stadium over to a future console, I think there is a bit of work that can be done to make the experience stay true to the original game. For the minigames, Pokemon Stadium boasts thrilling battles and a collection of 9 minigames for up to 4 players, with CPUs filling in if needed. The minigames consist of Clefairy Says, as you follow Clefairy's directions in a Simon Says style game to be the last one standing, or with the fewest mistakes after 5 rounds. Dig, 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 where you race a Sandshrew to dig for water faster than your opponents. Ekans Hoop Hurl, skillfully toss Ekans over, popping Diglett for valuable points. Magikarp Splash, where you make a splash as Magikarp by hitting the counter above with the splash move to win. Rock Harden is where you protect yourself from incoming boulders as Metapod or Kakuna by using the Harden move while conserving stamina. Run Rattata Run is where you dash as Rattata on a treadmill, leaping over hurdles to reach the goal first. Snore War is where you use Hypnosis as Drowsy to make your opponent fall asleep on a swinging pendulum. Sushi Go Round is where you feast on sushi as Lickitung while avoiding spicier foods and tea to win the priciest bill. And Thundering Dynamo is where you can choose either Pikachu or Voltorb to rapidly press buttons to charge up electricity to sync with the light bulb's colour. While the minigames may not be as extensive as Mario Party, Pokemon Stadium's minigame collection adds extra fun to the Pokemon experience, and it hits at a potential Pokemon themed party game, which I really want after playing the Stadium games. And if they were to make a Pokemon party game, I'd buy it day one. For the summary, the gameplay, I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10. The gameplay of Pokemon Stadium remains as engaging as ever, but suffers due to the reliance on rental Pokemon, as these rentals often come with subpar movesets, making battles more frustrating than fun. The graphics, I'm going to give an 8 out of 10. Considering this game released in 1999, the graphics are understandably dated. However, the Nintendo Switch version's upscale treatment and a 60 FPS boost bring a new life to the visuals, making it a treat for modern players. The characters, I'm going to give a 5 out of 10. Sadly, the joy of using your own carefully cultivated Pokemon is lost in the Nintendo Switch version. The absence of transfer options means that you're stuck with lackluster rentals, diminishing the game's character element within the game. The content, I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10. The original Pokemon Stadium is boasted a reasonable amount of content, but unfortunately, the Nintendo Switch Online version trims it down by omitting the ability to transfer Pokemon. Features like GB Tower and Pokemon Lab are practically useless, which is a significant letdown if you're a fan of the original game, meaning that only half the game is accessible. The music, I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. The music in Pokemon Stadium remains faithful to the original Pokemon games. Despite hardware limitations, it manages to deliver an enjoyable experience. The difficulty, I'm going to give it a nightmare. The reason I gave it this difficulty is mainly due to the game being impossible to beat with only rentals, meaning that the Switch version of the game may not be ideal for completionists. The length, I'm going to give it 11 hours. Pokemon Stadium provides a decent amount of entertainment, but frustrating aspects may cut that short for some players. The audience, I'm going to give it a 7+. Despite its flaws, Pokemon Stadium remains accessible to a broad audience, including both veterans and newcomers. And for the perk, I'm going to give it the Play Then Sell perk. The Nintendo Switch Online version of Pokemon Stadium, while fun in its original form, can be frustrating due to the reliance on rental Pokemon within the Nintendo Switch Online version, and more effort could have been put into preserving the N64 experience on modern hardware. And overall, I give Pokemon Stadium a 7 out of 10. Pokemon Stadium on Nintendo Switch Online isn't the worst Pokemon game by any means, and it's a nostalgic journey that evokes fond memories of the original. However, it's not without its flaws, as the most significant issues are the frustrating movesets of rental Pokemon and the absence of features like GB Tower, which hampers the experience. It's clear that there was a potential for greatness, but it falls short of its N64 counterpart. Allowing players to bring their Pokemon over would have greatly improved the experience, but despite its drawbacks, Pokemon Stadium still manages to capture the essence of Pokemon battles and offers an enjoyable experience for fans. But with Pokemon Stadium out of the way, let's get into Pokemon Stadium 2. For the gameplay, Pokemon Stadium 2 lacks a traditional storyline but provides rich and engaging gameplay. It centers around winning trophies in 4 unique cups in the stadium: Poke Cup, Prime Cup, Challenge Cup, and Little Cup, each adding variety and complexity. Players assemble teams of 6 Pokemon, using rented or imported ones for diverse strategies, just like Pokemon Stadium 1. The Challenge Cup is exciting due to its randomness, as both players and opponents receive random Pokemon teams, as the Gym Leader Castle adds another challenge, requiring players to defeat trainers at 8 Johto League gyms, each specializing a different type. The 3-on-3 battles demand careful team selection, involving imported or rental Pokemon. Progressing leads to encounters with the Elite Four and a rival battle, and the game introduces Kanto gym leaders and culminates in a face-off with the Pokemon champion, Red. Pokemon Stadium 2's gameplay combines strategy, unpredictability, and a rewarding progression system, which is unfortunately absent in the Nintendo Switch version, catering both to Pokemon fans and newcomers. For the modes and the features, Pokemon Stadium 2 boasts a versatile free battle mode where players can practice with custom rules or tournament cups. Up to 4 players can join using rental or Game Boy imported Pokemon via the transfer pack, as Pikachu's iconic name announcement adds a bit of charm to that. The Game Boy Tower, allowing play of Red, Blue, Yellow, Gold, Silver, and Crystal, which is unfortunately missing in the Switch Online version, where winning Stadium Cups unlocked faster game speeds. Linking Pokemon Stadium 2 with Gold, Silver, or Crystal unlocks the Mystery Gift function, granting random Game Boy items, including customizable in-game decorations. In Japan, Mobile Stadium was introduced with a mobile phone adapter, enabling online and friend battles. And the Nintendo 64 expansion pack enhanced the graphics and reduces loading times, optimizing the Pokemon Stadium 2 experience, a boon to die-hard fans of the Nintendo 64. For the mini-games, Pokemon Stadium 2 features the mini-game park where up to 4 players can enjoy 12 Pokemon-themed mini-games, and you can even use your Game Boy Pokemon in select games. Here are the following mini-games that are featured in Pokemon Stadium 2. Gutsy Golbat, where you transform into Golbat and collect hearts while avoiding opponents, and Magnemite. Topsy Turvy is where your players Hitmon top and use Rapid Spin to knock out opponents and aim for 5 knockouts to win. Clear Cut Challenges is where your players either Scyther, Scizor, or Pinsir, is where you slice white lines on logs with finesse for points. Furret's Frolic is where your players Furret or try Giraffe Egg and knock Pokeballs into your corner for points. Barrier Ball is where you play as Mr. Mime to bounce a Pokeball across your opponent's court with precision. Pichu's Power Plant is where you compete as a Pichu to charge electrodes or choose Pikachu for the challenge. Rampage Rollout is where you play as Donphan and race around a track using dust clouds strategically. Streaming Stampede is where you estimate the numbers of Pokemon as Cleffa or Igglybuff to earn points. Tumbling Togepi is where you run as Togepi on a treadmill, dodging obstacles, or you can choose Ammonite. Delibird's Delivery is where you take control of Delibird to gather presents and earn points for delivering the same presents multiple times. Egg Emergency is where you play as Chansey to catch falling eggs and avoid Voltorb for points. And Eager Eevee is where you race as Eevee around a lid held by Apon, grabbing the fruit while dodging Pineco. A bit like musical chairs, but with fruit instead. These mini-games do provide a variety of excitement, with my personal favourites being Pichu's Power Plant and Tumbling Togepi. For the summary, the gameplay I'm going to give it a 7.5 out of 10. Pokemon Stadium 2 introduces a large variety of Pokemon compared to its predecessor. The mini-games are a standout feature for me, offering creativity and fun. The addition of games like one-player quiz, mini-game champion, and quiz for all significantly enriches the mini-game experience. My personal favourite mini-games definitely have to be Pichu's Power Plant and Tumbling Togepi. For the graphics, I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. While it is important to remember that Pokemon Stadium 2 released in 2000, it has been upscaled to 60 FPS on Nintendo Switch, resulting in smoother performance. The UI design is creative, although a slight upscale from the N64 version could improve the clarity of the UI design. The major drawback of the graphics is the reuse of the models for the original 151 Pokemon. The characters, I'm going to give it a 6 out of 10. The introduction of a broader range of Pokemon, including Johto Pokemon, is a positive aspect. Movesets have been some improvement, though not as significant as one might hope, and for the content, I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10, because Pokemon Stadium 2 offers a fair amount of content to explore, but however, the real fun comes in when you're playing the game with friends, adding a social element that elevates the experience. The music, I'm going to give it a 6 out of 10. The game's music, when compared to the original Pokemon Stadium, is somewhat lackluster. While it doesn't detract from the overall experience, it falls short of the high bar set by its predecessor. The difficulty, I'm going to give it a nightmare. If you choose to go with an all-rental experience, be prepared for a challenge, as Pokemon Stadium 2 is notorious for being the most difficult Pokemon game of all time in this mode. So only the most dedicated trainers should attempt it. For the length, I'm going to give it 19 hours. Despite the absence of a story, Pokemon Stadium 2 offers around 19 hours of gameplay to complete all the stadium battles and conquer the Gym Leader Castle. It's a respectable duration for a game of this type. The audience, I'm going to give it a 7+. The game caters to a wide audience with a mix of challenging battles, minigames, and multiplayer options, making it accessible to both younger and older players. And for the perk, Pokemon Stadium 2 has earned its collector perk. Pokemon Stadium 2 goes above and beyond its predecessor, offering a comprehensive collection of Pokemon from Kanto and Johto, with only a few notable exclusions like Mewtwo, Mew, and Celebi. And the minigames too display creativity and add depth to the game. All these improvements make it hard to return to the original Pokemon Stadium. And overall, I give Pokemon Stadium 2 an 8 out of 10. Pokemon Stadium 2 is a great sequel that outshines its predecessor with a diverse selection of Pokemon, entertaining minigames, and plenty of content. It's a must-play for Pokemon fans. While not without its flaws, it remains pinnacle of Pokemon gaming on the Nintendo 64. I haven't played Pokemon Colosseum or Pokemon XD Gale of Darkness, so I can't really have an opinion on either of those games. But when I have a way to play Pokemon Colosseum and XD Gale of Darkness, I'll play it. But overall, Pokemon Stadium 2 is just better than the original. So guys, what did you think of my double pack review for Pokemon Stadium and Pokemon Stadium 2? Unfortunately, I haven't got around to watching the Five Nights at Freddy's movie yet because of negative reviews. So unfortunately, my review will be coming by mid-November. So, don't forget to subscribe to my channel, like this video, and turn your notification bell on so you don't miss another review video like this one. And I will see you all in a future video. BB8 out.